Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another Team News Gameweek 27 on Fantasy Football Scout. Gameweek 26 seemed to last forever. It's finally finished. I'm happy to see the back of it. How about you, Neale?
I didn't do too badly actually. I think compared to some it was a roller coaster week, wasn't it? Because we had the postponement and then the swift rearrangement, and then there was some no shows like Mara's and that. So I came out of it relatively unscathed. Bang on 10,000. That's the notable rank for me. So I'm right on the cusp of the 10k. So
I
hoping to
saw
kick
that.
on from here.
Obviously, nicer to have four figures. It was kind of cool to have exactly a 10,000 rank. Don't often see that too much. I'm not even the back of it because I did bad. It's just like it seemed to drag on, like way worse than even
Oh
like an
yeah,
international
yeah.
break. So anyway, there's plenty of teams to get through today, so we'll just jump straight into it. As always, go through kind of lineups, mostly injury news as well. We'll start off with some of the big guns. So we'll start off with Liverpool first.
Yeah, so Jordan Henderson, who I guess wasn't really a big fantasy asset for a long time, and become sort of a little bit of a differential for that third Liverpool midfield spot. He's chipped in with some nice returns over the last 6 game weeks or so. He's going to be out for 3 weeks. He's got a hamstring problem. It's not like a really serious one like Harry Kane's, but he's going to be out for the next 2 game weeks. So I mean, they've got plenty of options to replace him in the centre midfield, the likes of Fabinho and Keita, Lallana as well. Klopp says all the other boys are fit, apart from Shaqiri, who's still not joined back in full training. He was asked about 2 other things to note, really. Firstly was Mane, who came off in midweek. He's obviously he'd struggled with that muscle injury before game week 26, and then came on as a substitute. Then started in midweek against Atletico and was hauled off at the break. But Klopp, as many of us suspected, has just confirmed what we thought. Like, it's not injury related. It's instead, it was a tactical move because he'd been booked, and I think Atletico targeted him, trying to get sent off. So he said that, he's completely fine. He's rested, which is a nice line if you own Mane. And it was the substitution was purely to try and keep 11 players on the pitch, because the way things were heading, he feared Mane being sent off. There was another line as well come out of Klopp's press conference, which was around the question of rotation, whether they would make changes for game week 27 off the back of the Champions League. But Klopp's pointed out that they've got a 6-day breather, really, because it was a Tuesday night game in Spain, and then they're not in action until Monday night against West Ham. So he stressed that that's actually a longer break than they'd ordinarily get at this time of the season. So that's not a reason to rotate in itself, although he did say we may make other changes other than the enforced one for Henderson.
Yeah, I don't see it. I just don't see why they won't keep going until they wrap the league up. So I think if you've got Mane, I personally wouldn't be worried about a rotation at all. Like you said, it's not till Monday as well, which I didn't even realise till I was just about to come on here, which is cool. Nice to have a captain in the last game sometimes. All right, how about Man City? Because they've got a few injuries there. Maybe a few players return, I think, as well.
Yeah, it was a bit of a sketchy update from Guardiola, because he didn't specifically reveal if these players in question were available or not. So he was talking about Sterling and Sane as well. Sane's been back in training for some time. He was out from, I think it was a Community Shield, wasn't he? He got injured. So Guardiola says that he's good, but he needs a little more time after 6 months out, which I assume means he's not going to be in contention this weekend, at least not for a start. Sterling, Guardiola said, was in the latter stage of recovery. So again, we don't know if that means he's available or not, or if this comes a little bit too soon. David Silva was substituted towards the tail end of that win over West Ham, but Guardiola says that he was smart to do so, that it was more precautionary in nature. And all of these players in question, Silva, Sterling and Sane, have been pictured in training this week. So Silva's obviously the one you'd think have the best chance of featuring, given that there doesn't seem to be any serious repercussions from that substitution. Perhaps this comes too soon for Sterling and Sane, but again, we're trying to extrapolate information from Guardiola's quotes. We might get something later on tonight from the embargoed section, but I wouldn't hold your breath.
What are you thinking, Mahrez? Is he starting or not? Full rest.
I think so. Yeah,
game.
yeah.
I hope so.
I would think so. I mean, you never truly know, but he wants to give. He's talked before about giving players rhythm before he take on Real Madrid next week. So he wasn't given any minutes against West Ham. I put up some stats in the Big Numbers article this week about Mahrez and how well he did against Leicester in the reverse fixture. He topped loads of stats such as final third touches, shots, things like that. So I would think, and the ordinary person would think that he would start this week, but you never truly know with Guardiola.
I've got everything crossed because it was a bit. I didn't necessarily think he was going to start both the games, West Ham and Leicester, but I thought he'd get some minutes in both, and it didn't happen. I remember watching that game, actually, the Leicester game. I remember him at the time thinking he was very greedy, but now I absolutely love that because I own him. He just seemed to shoot the whole game. But yeah, we'll see if he gets a start, hopefully. So we'll stick with Leicester then. Any news there? I know indeed he's kind of still not around, even though it was supposed to be about weeks ago. Any more news there?
Yeah, he's still out. He's going to be missing for. Well, there was no time for him putting it, and Rodgers says that he could potentially be back next week, but wouldn't like to say so for certain. He said the same thing about this game as well. So this might be just an injury that drags on for a little while. So on top of Ndidi being unavailable, we've also got Hamza Chowdhury suspended and Mendy as well with the knee problem. He's out. So that's their 3 defensive midfield options, all sidelined for this fixture, which is good if you want a Man City attacking asset. Other than that, pretty much a clean bill of health on the injury front. Ryan Bennett's now available because he was ineligible to play against Wolves, his parent club. So as I speculated on Twitter yesterday that to maybe circumvent the lack of defensive midfielders, he could maybe go to 3 at the back, but that's just me speculating. Given that they're playing Man City, who of course can rack up the goals and chances. So yeah, they haven't really got anybody to fill in for Ndidi because they've got very similar types of central midfielder left, like Dennis Pratt and Tielemans and Madison, who aren't the kind of sit in front of the back 4 type. So he might rejig things around, I think.
Yeah, I hope he does something to stem them because I was already worried about not having Kevin De Bruyne, and as soon as I saw your tweet about all of them missing, that did put me in a bit of a panic. So we'll see what happens there. And how about Chelsea? How are they looking this week?
Yeah, lots of updates this afternoon from Frank Lampard. I'm still posting a lot of these because they all happened. There was a flurry of them about 1 o'clock, and there was about 8 or 9 press conferences. But I've seen Lampard's. Abraham, I guess, is the big one. He's trained the last 2 days, but Lampard says only at about 70% and hasn't trained much recently. So he's in the squad. So I think the flag's come off him in FPL. But Lampard says he's going to have to make a decision if he's fit, which I assume means fit enough to start. Of course, he missed out in Gameweek 26. The rest of the squad, Kante is not fit. He's going to be out for 3 weeks with a muscle injury. Pulisic hasn't recovered. He was back in training, but Lampard says he can't give an exact date on that. Said it was a difficult injury, so this is, again, dragging along. Kristensen has got a mask fitted for a broken nose, but he's available for selection. And Loftus-Cheek is available for selection as well, who we haven't seen this season. He has been out with a long-term injury, I think, sustained towards the back end of last season. But he's been playing for the under-23s. He's been training for a while, and he's in the squad. Lampard did say he wasn't fit to start, so a substitute role at best, I think, for him. But he's a name to monitor in the running because he was decent, wasn't he, at Palace? Admittedly, for a cheaper price and in a slightly different role. But if Lampard starts playing him in this advanced role like we think he might be, then could be an exciting differential for the running.
Yeah, maybe I've got it wrong. I seem to remember at the start of the season everyone talking about waiting until he was back from injury, and that the injury, I don't remember it being until like February time, so I don't know whether he got a reoccurrence maybe. But yeah, I just checked, he's 6.3 million, so...
Yeah, that is a lot, I suppose.
I don't know, I don't think it's too bad. I mean, it's a similar price to Mount, I guess, but Chelsea's fixtures do swing soon, so... might be worth a look in if he does get some minutes. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But in terms of injuries that are sticking around, when the hell is Paul Pogba ever going to play for Man United again?
I think there's 2 people know that, and it's Pogba and Solskjaer. Neither of whom's going to tell us, really, are they? I mean, there's some speculation that he might not ever play again, with Blatzman more surrounded about his future rather than anything injury-related. So he's not going to be involved this weekend. Neither is Rashford, of course, who's probably going to be out for much of the rest of the season, if not all of it. So yeah, Pogba not involved. Someone who might be, who we didn't think would be ready for maybe another week or 2, is McTominay, who Solskjaer said he thinks will be in the squad. So again, that might not be fit enough for a start, but he should be in contention for a place on the bench at least, based on Solskjaer's words. Again, you never truly know what to believe when he opens his mouth. But he's back in contention. For the rest of the squad, I think Greenwood was ill. I think that's why he missed out against Bruges last night. And Solskjaer had a line on Igalo. I think he was asked about whether he could possibly start against his old club, of course, Watford. And Solskjaer said it depends on whether, how well Mason Greenwood is and how Martial is. I can't see, I mean, you might know different, but being a United fan, I can't see Martial being shifted wide to accommodate Igalo. Not yet, anyway. Maybe further down the line, but there was a lot of quotes in Solskjaer's press conference about Martial being a number 9 and having to, get in those dangerous positions and things like talking about his header against Chelsea. So I'd be surprised if he shuffled things around just to accommodate Igalo at the moment. I might come later down the line, of course. But yeah, what do you think, Andy?
I kind of agree with that. It doesn't seem a lot was made of the fact that Martial was going to be a number 9 this year and not play wide. So I do kind of agree. I don't see that happening. The only kind of thing I could see maybe happening is playing with a formation that allows him and Igalo up front, maybe, because we've only really, if he's not going to play left, then it's just James as a winger. Pereira can play there, Mata can play there, but they're not who we really want to be playing there. So they could move to some kind of more, maybe 5 at the back. Maybe they'll play that more often. Have Williams.
Diamond formation as well, given the number of central midfielders.
Yeah, diamond potentially. I think it all points to Fernandes not having to, that first game against Wolves when he had to kind of fill in a bit deeper. Yeah. I think this all points to him playing further forward. But yeah, Martial and Igalo up front, but I don't see him moving wide. But I do think that's the only way Igalo is going to get a game, either 2 up top or and that's about it really. But yeah, we'll have to see. I hope we change things, but you just don't know with Solskjaer, do you? He's changed the formation a few times recently. How about Sheffield United? So you've been correct last couple of weeks. You've said he doesn't change his team enough, or that often, sorry, and Lundstrom's probably not going to get back in. He didn't get back in. He did score. Anything change this week or same again?
I would suspect it would be the same again, given his previous. We can only go off what he's done in the past. As I said in previous videos that we've done, he tends to avoid unenforced changes altogether. So yeah, there was no injury updates in the press conference. Everyone's got a clean bill of health. The only mention of Lundstrom was his contract situation. I think he's still got 80 months on that, but yeah, a report asked if there's been any change in that, and Wilder says no, it's much as was. So yeah, it's the onus is on Lundstrom immediately to force his way back in. Sander Berger's this club record signing is going to be dropped straight away just because Lundstrom scored. I actually thought I watched that game, which was now a fortnight ago. It seems like ages ago now. Lundstrom was a little bit poor when he came on. He was trying a bit too hard. I thought his touch was off. Balls kept bouncing off his shins and out of play and stuff like that. But then of course he pops up with a goal, which is what he does. I think he gives a bit more attacking threat than Berger does. So you never know. I mean, we're exactly where we were a fortnight ago. We were discussing whether or not we should sell Lundstrom. That goal's actually probably done owners more harm than good, because if he'd stayed on the bench, or if he'd come on and got a 1-pointer, then I think most of us would have shipped him out by now. But there's just that glimmer of hope. And of course, the sentimentality associated with his story this season that keeps people hanging on, like myself. So, can lightning strike twice? So we're going to get lucky again if he's benched. The odds would suggest not, given that he scored 4 goals all season. So, a dilemma for owners, I think, again.
Yeah, it couldn't have really gone any better or worse, depending on how you look at it, because they lost a clean sheet. He comes on and scores. Only Egan got returns out the rest of the defenders.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, like you said, it's put people in the position now where, maybe I'll just give him 1 more week. I know Jeff thinks that he's going to start this week, but he said that last week as well. So,
did he?
Yeah, he said if it's not last week, he said it'll be this week. So we'll have to see this week. But yeah, I think he's lost his pace. I don't think there's anything to say otherwise at this point. But you never know. And like I said, he can always come on and score a goal like he's done. I don't even want to hear this news, but let's talk about Spurs and their injury crisis.
Yeah, of course, you're referring to Son there, who, since we last filmed the video, is now ruled out for, I don't think there's a specific amount of time. I think it's just been weeks so far. There's various speculation in the tabloids about how long that'll be. But yeah, he's going to be out, along with the other long-term absentees like Kane and Sissoko. One fight's also still sidelined. No other fresh injury concerns apart from Son. So it'll be whether Mourinho makes a few changes from the Champions League game in a week, because there's very little turnaround. It's the early kickoff this weekend. Mourinho is actually the last press conference, apart from Pearson's, I haven't actually seen it. So all I've seen so far is the medical bulletin from Spurs. So I'll keep you posted if there's any further quotes from Mourinho in the press conference in the article roundup at 5.
Yeah, I'd say I don't know how much rotation he's really going to be able to do because he did. I can't remember the exact quote, but he did say earlier in the week someone asked him whether it was time for Troy Parrott now. He basically said he wasn't
Yeah,
ready. So it looks like Ali, Mora, or Bergwijn is going to play up front. So I don't think
yeah.
there's going to be too much rotation there. Whether or not they'll be as good without Son is a different story. But yeah, it doesn't look like Troy Parrott is going to be the bargain that Harry Kane was all
No.
those all those years ago. Anytime soon, anyway. Let's move on to Everton next. How are they looking?
Yeah, okay. Walcott's a doubt. I think he's just trained individually so far, and Ancelotti said he didn't know if he's going to be fit to face Arsenal. Bernard's fine. As is Andre Gomez as well, who's been out for, I think it was November, wasn't it, when he had that awful injury against Spurs. Looked like a season wrecker, actually, at the time, but amazingly, we're not even into March yet, and he's already back. He's played for the under-23s over the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, Ancelotti just says it's now a question over whether he's ready to start or whether he's only fit enough for the place on the bench. But, yeah, that's a really rapid recovery. That's about 3 months, so that'll help, I think. I know he hasn't quite reached the levels of last season, perhaps, but he's certainly, I think, an upgrade on the likes of Schneiderlin and Davies and Delph in the middle of the park, anyway.
Yeah, and if you think of how well Everton have done recently, anyway, so having someone like him
Yeah,
back could be even better, especially with their. I think it's fair to say it's a pretty tricky run of fixtures they're about to
yeah.
embark on. So if he's back, great news for Everton. Long may Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin continue smashing the goals. We'll just do a few more and then we'll just do like a quick fire. So how about Southampton next? Any major worries there?
Walker Peters, who just made his Southampton debut last week in Gameweek 26. He's out for this one. He's got a slight calf strain. Shouldn't keep him out for very long. I think Aston Villa was talking of him returning to training next week. So we could see Valerie right back. Could even be Ward-Prowse redeployed in that position. Apart from that, Boufal is a major doubt. I think he's got this heel issue that it sounds like he's not going to be able to feature. Redmond's going to be out for at least a month. So that pretty much paves the way for, I think, Armstrong and Jeanette were sort of the two remaining number 10s to start in that formation behind the strikers. Nothing really much on Ings and Long that I've seen so far. The fact that there isn't that much fixture congestion from Southampton, that there's weeks, in between the games, would seem to make the threat of rotation diminish. Because we saw Ings rested over Christmas and in December when there was games piling up, but 7-day recovery periods in between matches. I'd be less concerned about rotation now for what is a very, very appealing looking fixture home to Villa.
Yeah, and I think Hasenhüttl has been pretty open about when he's going to rotate players as well. So unless he says something, I'm not too worried. I actually just quickly looked up because I remember seeing him in a members table in the members area on Fantasy Football Scout. Armstrong's had 13 shots in the last 4 matches, so he's shooting quite a bit. So maybe he's only 5.2 million as well. And against Aston Villa could be a good one. And let's just finish before we do the roundup on Aston Villa because I think they've got a defender back which some people seem to be put off Southampton players because of him, but I still think going to concede a lot of shots. But who's back?
Yeah, Tyrone Mings, who missed out last week because of tonsillitis. Now, I get what people are saying, and he probably is Villa's best centre half, but he's not Virgil van Dijk, by any stretch. I've seen him quite a lot this season, and he hasn't been error proof. He was playing when Man City got humped 6-1 by Man City, for example. So I don't think that makes that much of a difference. He's available anyway, so I suspect he'll come in for Engels at centre half because it was Mings, Howes, and Konsa as the back three before that. Other than that, not much new to report. McGinn might be back sooner rather than later, maybe 2 or 3 weeks down the line. He's almost running on the grass. And Keenan Davis, who's a reserve, he's possibly back in training next week as well.
Good stuff. Do you want to just we'll just round up the rest of them? Only a few left, I think.
Yeah. Arsenal, we haven't really heard of it because they were in Europa League action last night. So we don't get a standalone press conference. We'll get some quotes probably drip fed out during the day, so I'll keep my eyes peeled on that. Same with Wolves. I've heard Santo's comments, and there was nothing in that really. He said Traore was taken off on the hour mark because they wanted new solutions. There was nothing injury related. Jimenez, Jota, and Traore all got subbed off, so I think hopefully they were just being preserved for the Norwich game. Bournemouth, that happened this morning. Charlie Daniels, Danjuma, Metwim, Kelly, Brooks, they're all long-term absentees. Brooks nearing a return. He's getting closer, but not quite ready to feature just yet. Lerma's back for suspension. Brighton, Dale Stevens will probably miss out according to Potter. with a hamstring problem. Isqueiro's a long-term one as well. Alexis McAllister, no relation to Gary, is back from a loan spell in Argentina, in his native Argentina. And he's someone to watch, I think. I've not really seen much of him. I can't pretend that I have, but sort of attacking midfielder. Potter's been talking about his ability to get goals and play in between the spaces near the box. So seemed to suggest he'll be a substitute this week because he's had a busy time of it, moving from South America and adjusting to life in England. But he's someone to watch anyway over the coming weeks. Burnley, Barnes and Loughton are out of the trip. The visit of Bournemouth. Chris Wood, who's probably the main attraction at the moment from a fantasy perspective, he is rated as touch and go by Dyche. He said he has a chance of featuring, but he hadn't trained fully as of Thursday, so he'd only been working with the physios. And previously, when Dyche has mentioned 50-50 calls, he's erred on the side of caution. So it could be Rodriguez and Vidra up top this weekend. Palace, I don't think we've discussed yet. Tompkins is the latest addition to the injury list. We've got hamstring problems. Sacco and Schlupp are still out. No mention of Martin Kelly, who only missed out because of a slight calf strain, I think, a couple of weeks ago. So he could be back because they're down a centre. So it would be between him and Dan for the spot alongside Cahill. The thing that's muddied the waters a bit further is that I think his partner's just given birth in the last 24 hours. So, we've seen players miss out because of that. Vardy, of course. A little bit in the dark over Kelly.
Newcastle, we've done Newcastle?
Newcastle, I'm just scrolling down there. Newcastle, we haven't done yet, of course. No one really cares about them, let's be honest. Kieran Clark is, looks like he's going to be a long-term absentee with an ankle problem he sustained against Arsenal. So, Willems and Dummett and they're the long-term ones out for the season. Manquillo, I think Bruce was hinting that he was still another week to 10 days away. Kraft and Shelby will probably join in training next week. Andy Carroll hasn't got a return date yet. But Gale and Mutu are back and available for selection. So they'll put pressure on Joe Linton, who himself is a minor doubt because of a thigh problem, but Bruce expects him to recover. Norwich, we don't think we've covered yet. I don't think we have. Sam Byram's going to miss the rest of the season, so Jamal Lewis will probably come in for him. Hernandez and Zimmerman, crucially, he's one of the centre-halves, are described as major doubts by Daniel Farke for this game against Wolves. So could be Ben Godfrey coming in alongside Hanley at centre-half. No other injuries to report from Norwich. Watford, of course, we haven't heard about yet. And that leaves West Ham, I think, who will be without Andrei Yarmolenko still with a thigh problem. He still hasn't fully returned to training yet. And the other one is Fredericks, who came off against Man City with a shoulder problem. So he's still waiting a full diagnosis, but he's got a shoulder issue and he's going to be missing for the trip to Liverpool. So it could be the veteran right back Pablo Zabaleta up against Sadio Mane and Andrew Robertson at Anfield on Monday night. So that's something to consider if you're thinking about captaincy this week.
Yeah. Who's your captain this week?
At the moment, it's on Salah because I've only got two Liverpool. Alexander Arnold, the other one. But if I am adding a third Liverpool option, which does seem likely, then I'd have to think about that. Previously, when I've handed the armband to someone, I've been reluctant to move it from my initial choice, basically for superstitious purposes, really. So I think it'll stay on Salah for now, and then it just depends who else I get in. Maybe Mane, maybe another defender. But I think Salah. How about yourself?
Yeah, Salah at the moment because it's him or Firmino. I don't have Mane. I think if I had Mane, I would probably go for him. But that's kind of a rank thing as well because he's now lesser owned. I don't think there's really too much between them still. How are you getting Mane in? What's the transfers for that? I'm looking at your team now. Where are you getting the money from?
Well, I've got 1.3 in the bank, which wouldn't be enough to upgrade De Bruyne to Mane. So previously, I'd sort of penciled in a return for Mane into his side, maybe in 28 for when De Bruyne blanks. But obviously, De Bruyne is just off the back of a 14-point hole. Leicester's down all those defensive midfielders. I'm loath to lose them a week early. So it looks unlikely that I'll be able to get Mane in. And to be honest, it looks unlikely that I'll be able to get any Liverpool players in without taking a hit, unless I go for Gomez, which of course is like the halfway house, isn't it? You're just getting in for clean sheet potential and not much else. So yeah, I've got a bit of thinking to do tonight, whether or not I just leave it at 2 for this really appealing fixture, or bring forward a transfer from Gameweek 28 and then shift some money around and take a hit to get in a Mane or a Robertson or a Van Dijk, for example. So yeah, a bit of thinking to do tonight.
Interesting. I'm gonna one more question, then I'm going to let you go. Lundstrom, are you playing him this week or benching him?
Benching him, I'm pretty sure. It'll partly depend on what I do and which other Liverpool player I'll bring in. But I've got other players I can play. I mean, I've got Egan in as my Sheffield United cover now. I mean, one of my options to play from a defensive point of view was Williams at home to Watford, but I haven't seen him play last night when he had a bit of a stinker. I think it's fair to say he's been brilliant this season, Williams, and he's really come on leaps and bounds. But he was poor by his standards, I thought, last night. And I wonder if he'll be taking out the 5 or 9 for this game, especially if he goes to a back 4, he's got short to play there. So I might end up having to play Lundstrom. You never know, but I don't really want to play Soyuncu there. But yeah, it depends on what I do. It depends on who I bring in. If it's a second Liverpool defender, then Lundstrom's definitely on the bench, regardless of his goal last time.
Good stuff. I think the thing with Williams is a bit like Daniel James. They've just been played too much. Like, they should be squad players, and they're having to be relied upon too much. Probably just fatigued. But anyway, I'll let you go. We'll let everyone else go. We'll, as always, make sure to check Fantasy Football Scout on Twitter, FF Scout. Any more kind of news that comes through and stuff that we've not heard from will be up there. And in the team news section, Neale will predict 100